Hey folks, Paul from Easy Acres Homestead here. As many of you know, I am an off-grid homesteader here in Southern Oregon. I'm in the high desert and it gets quite warm in the summer. So I have some tips, some tricks, and some little tactics I want to share with you on how you can stay cool in the summertime. First of all, I think it's really important that you know the signs and symptoms of heat stroke. Primarily nausea, cool, clammy skin. When you see sweating, that's the time when it's an emergency. You need to get some water and you need to find some shade real fast. Another thing you can do is coat your clothing in water, so allow that evaporative effect to help cool you off. In an emergency situation like that, get cool as soon as possible. If you're throwing up or if you feel sick from being in the sun, it's time to get out of the sun for sure. So tip number one that I would say would help a lot is shifting up your activity schedule. I generally, in the summertime, when it's unbearably hot, as it has been this past week, I will wake up around 4:30 in the morning and get as much as I can done, and I am inside in the shade out of the sun by 10:30, 11, 12 at most. It's really important for me to get out of the sun during the heat of the day. That's really important. And that's one of those things that when you live off grid and you get to decide your schedule that you can choose to do. Whereas in town, you're beholden to the schedule that everybody else has that doesn't change throughout the seasons like it should. So yeah, change your schedule. Limit your activity to the mornings and to the evenings, and at nighttime if at all possible. I know that's not necessarily feasible for everybody, but first tip that I would share with you, absolutely change up your schedule. I certainly take every opportunity to try to utilize water and wash myself off, and you really do get filthy out here. It's very hard to avoid. Any kind of activity you do stirs up dust. It's so dry, and if you're sweating, it'll stick to you. It'll stick to you all day, so I clean myself off quite a bit. And by the way, any clothing that I'm wearing, it's so hot, I am wearing clothing for the sake of YouTube's terms of service at this stage. And actually, I kid you not, I save a ton of water by not having to do laundry, by washing clothes all the time, because everything out here just gets so dusty and filthy. Changing your schedule is probably easier than buying all the components for a solar array large enough to power an air conditioner or even an evaporative cooler. So, these low energy input passive solutions are the kind of solutions that we need to be striving for. Something else that's really helpful is observing the sun and how it falls on your land. Keep in mind that it'll change. The wintertime, the direction that the sun travels across the sky is going to vary from the summertime arc of the sun through the sky. So that's something to keep in mind too. When I planned my gardens, I really planned for them to have really good exposure during the early morning, especially up to about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And then I have some trees over here that kind of shade it out a little bit and tame that sun a bit. So another thing you can do to help you stay cool when you're living off grid without air conditioning or anything like that is observing where the sun falls on your land and plan your structures accordingly. That's why I have my cabin built where I do, and that's why I have my solar panels where I do. So something that to keep in mind as you start building is to pay attention to where the sun's falling on your property. Hey, let me know in the comments the hottest temperature that you've ever experienced. I'd be really curious to hear about it. I'll ask you to forgive the trash-tacular nature of my abode over here, but let me explain some things that I have going on to help me during the summer. So I have some roofing material just kind of leaned up against it, just to keep the sun off of it, because after probably around 10 in the morning, that side of the cabin starts to heat up really good, and you can see a bit of it hanging over the edge. But I have this shade tarp material that I bought at Harbor Freight, really cheap. Also, I utilize a lot of wool blankets. I love wool. Wool is a fantastic material. It's insulating. It can also insulate when wet, Also, it smothers fires. So if you know, somebody has you know, something on fire, you can smother it with a wool blanket. It won't catch on fire. It's fantastic material. So you might see I have a wool blanket over my door because it has a large window, and then I have one here just to shade this portion of the porch. That shade tarp goes all the way over. I have another one on the back end of my cabin, so it looks kind of janky and it looks kind of thrown together because it is, but it really does help keep the cabin cooler than it otherwise would be. So some things to consider is keeping the sun off of your structure, unless you have a ton of insulating material, you know, like earth or something like that, or cob, but this is just a metal roof. Just sitting in the sun, it starts to heat up and you'll be in an oven in no time. So put that shade material over it. Can't recommend it enough. Okay, you ready? Let's go. Let's go. Oh. Really pays to limit your activity to the mornings and the evenings when it's as hot as it has been. Isn't that right, babies? You've been laying down in the shade, haven't you? Yes, you have. Yes, you have. I kind of turned this side of the cabin into this little covered A-frame, you know, just to have a nice outdoor kind of chill out area. It gets rather warm and stuffy in the cabin during the daytime, but you know, like I was saying before, limiting your activity to the mornings, evenings, and nights. Single biggest thing you can do to stay cool. Also, you know, utilizing water whenever you can, both in and outside of you, and being aware of how the sun falls on your land and building accordingly. These are some small things that you can do. They're very passive things, but they're very powerful nonetheless to stay cool and thrive in our increasingly warm summer times. Anyway, I am Paul with Easy Acres Homestead. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, y'all take care. Be easy.